Today's podcast is brought to you by Quantrix Modeler Introductory Training, teaching the fundamental foundation that you need to become a Quantrix master. Go to QuantrixAuthority.com to learn more.
Show me how you do Quantrix.
Hey, welcome back to another Netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me today for episode number 216, DateRef Matrix and Summary Items. This is in response to a comment sent to me in a couple videos ago about how I use DateRef matrices in Quantrix. What a DateRef matrix is it's a matrix that uses timeline functionality within Quantrix. And in this instance, I have year and month. And usually what I do is I then go ahead and I have an item that is simply the date, and I populate that using the function called timeline date. And what this does is this allows me to really use dates as parameters within many of my Quantrix models. And a lot of what I do at my day job has to do with dates. So I just find it essential to have a DateRef matrix, kind of like I have here. And what I've done here is I've also got this input up here matrix for current date. And I have written another formula that says if the date that is listed here is greater than or equal to the date that is input in here, then go ahead and give me a 1, okay, because that means it's a future date. And what I may want to do is I may want to say, well, in my summary matrix, I have year and month going across here, and what I want to do is I want to go ahead and populate only those values that have a day greater than this date here, okay? And where am I going to get those values from? I'm going to get them from maybe the sales matrix, and we'll pretend that these are forecast numbers here, okay, because we're talking about things in the future. So how would I get this to populate based off of the day here? I would simply write a if statement and say sales is equal to if my consider date is equal to 1, then go ahead and give me sales over here. Otherwise, give me a blank or give me a 0. And what happens there? You'll see that it brings in 2017, it brings in 261, 345, 994, 919, and so on. And it works really beautifully. If I were to go ahead and I were to change this to 12/1 of 2017, then I would expect November to appear blank. So that's generally how I would utilize a DateRef matrix in a very simple example. The question was, though, what happens if I have summary items that I go ahead and I insert into here? Okay, so let's say I wanted to insert a summary item on month. If I go ahead and I do that, then you'll see that I have sum of month here, which is taking the sum of all the previous months. So let me go ahead and change this back to 11/1 so you can see that that indeed is what is happening. And if I take both these, then I get a total of 606 if I were to change this down here. Go to sum, see if I can get that to work with my webcam over it. Yep, 606, right? That's how it's computing. But what happens is now I have this error appearing that says too few items from category month specified on the right side of the formula. Extra items on the left will have error values. So what's going on here is I have year and month, and it's linked over here to this sales year and month. But if you look down here on my DateRef, year and month are not linked here. So first off, I'm getting an error because I'm trying to do a comparison between this year and month, these year and month categories versus these year and month categories. And I'm getting this error because this year and month down here in DateRef has one less item. It doesn't have the sum of months. So it's giving me this error up here and saying that I have too few items listed. So I'm not symmetrical. I don't have 12 items listed here. Well, I have 12 items listed here and I have 13 items listed here. So in order to get rid of that, I would then need to make sure that year and month are linked correctly. Okay, I insert a summary item here, and then that gets rid of that error. So that's maybe one way to work around it, but then I have these summary items here, and this isn't really relevant because I shouldn't be considering this sum of months. So, you know, really when I'm using my DateRef, generally I'm not really using these summary items in that DateRef. I just don't, I don't use these. Maybe I would build an independent matrix that just had years, and I'd perform the summary or the roll-up on using an independent matrix instead of having it be an item. Also, you know, at the end of the day, there's really nothing wrong with me going in and even having it be like this and simply on this date consider, say, skip sum of month, and go ahead and just skipping that sum of month, and then maybe here on sum of month saying go ahead and skip sum of month as well. So I maybe then just put sum of month also here, and maybe even on my date I would even say skip sum of month like that, and have it just be blank down here in my DateRef. So maybe not really an elegant solution on how to handle you know, your sum of months or your category summary items when you're using a DateRef matrix, but really, I don't use summary items necessarily with dates. I try to bring them outside of the matrix, but you could make it work by using a bunch of skips as I've demonstrated here. Anyway, I do hope that you find that useful. I do hope that you will use DateRefs in your Quantrix models because, again, I think this adds for some pretty dynamic functionality when you're working with dates and whatnot. And I hope that you'll join me again for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez, because I want to make you a Quantrix master.